not do it all. Hold again. Okay. Okay, that's better. Hi. Hi everybody. This is like my first live. I don't know what to do. It's really weird. Yes. Okay, so today's live is actually the second part of a video that I wanted to do, but I thought I would do it as like a fun little live stream. I don't know if it's gonna work. I didn't tell anyone about this live stream, so probably no one will come see it, which maybe is better. I don't know, like I don't even know how the chat works. I'm gonna put it up on my computer and then maybe I can see it. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's so weird. I can see myself on the screen. Okay, okay. Where is the chat? Okay, got it. Okay, there we go. I think you can edit these after, so I'll probably edit in this into a full YouTube video, but for now, this is what we got. My main concern is when I make a video, my cats kind of go buck wild, so I'm worried that they're gonna knock my tripod over. That's my main concern. Also, hold on, can you just move this? Okay. Okay, I think we can start. Oh, you can't even see him. Okay, I'm down here. Oh. Okay, hi everybody. Today's video is the second part of a video I made last time about teaching private students in Japan, and basically how I did it and a few of the students I had that were kind of like mean or a little bit weird. There was a couple of stalkers. When I made that video, I had like 5 or 6 stories in mind, but it ended up running super long, so I only did 2 or 3. So I have like a couple more I want to talk about today. Just to recap, you can teach private students in Japan. You can't get a visa doing it. It's just like an app, and you do it freelance, and you arrange to meet students in like a cafe or a restaurant or like a public place. You wouldn't go to like their house or anything like that. And I did it for a short while when I moved to Shinjuku, because I was kind of like between jobs and I didn't have like, I had my next job lined up, but I had a little bit of space, and I thought it would be good to get like some extra income. Oh, hi. So yeah, that's what I was doing when I first arrived in Shinjuku. I'd been in Japan for like 6 months, so I was kind of like used to Japan, but not like used to Japan. So I wasn't like aware of like the red flags, and only taught like children. So I went from teaching children to teaching like grown-ass men, and that was such a jump. So basically, oh hey Lizzie. Basically, the first time I started, I used the app for a while, and then I started to teach in a really small eikaiwa. I actually have a video about that because it's like a black company in Japan. Long story short, it kind of got taken over by, like, I don't know, it was kind of a bit shady. It was kind of like in a building that was run by the Yakuza, and the owner of the company, his friend ended up running away and taking all the company's money, and he didn't pay our salary, and he didn't pay the electricity bill, so the company went under. So after that, I actually took 2 of the students I was teaching at the eikaiwa, and I started to teach them privately. I wouldn't suggest doing that. That's kind of like pretty bad practice, but like because the company went under, it was fine. I wouldn't recommend like stealing students from an actual company, but it was fine because the company was completely finished. So I took these 2 students and they become my private students, and this video is about them because oh my god, they were wild. Good morning and good afternoon. It is 3:12 in Japan right now. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm making this video also super late because I stayed up until 3 AM last night playing Yakuza the game. I'm really sleepy. I'm going to make this video and immediately take a nap. My sons are being really noisy, so I do apologize. Hi! Okay, so the first student I taught was this guy, this Japanese guy, and I think he was like in his mid-40s. He was like a normal looking salaryman. He wasn't particularly attractive. He didn't have a lot of money, but the one thing he had was like audacity. And I taught him for a while at my eikaiwa, and I was teaching him like business English, and his English was pretty good because he used to go backwards and forwards, overseas and back. So basically he just had to learn like how to write formal business emails and like business etiquette and stuff like that. And it became apparent quite early on that his type is like blonde white women, and he used to talk like a lot about how he used to go to hostess clubs and he like liked Eastern European women and stuff like that. And one time I was in my company's office, because it was only a small company. I was in the office and there was a note on the wall in Japanese, and it said, use capsule bunny to get close to this guy, because this guy he'll come to the company a lot, he spends a lot of money here, and it seems like he likes her, so use her to your advantage, which was really, really shady. Anyway, this guy, his name in Japanese is literally translates to sweat. So me and my friend used to call him Mr. Sweat. So anyways, Mr. Sweat, he'd come in like twice a week, and yeah, I just used to teach him business English. And then at first it wasn't too bad. I could tell that he was just like a creepy old dude, but that's kind of normal for eikaiwa. Like, if you think about the kind of person that's gonna spend money and time going to eikaiwas, they're normally like kind of lonely, and this is just like a lonely dude, so it was kind of normal. So at first it wasn't too weird. And then one day during class, he randomly said, "Are you erotic?" to me. I guess he just learned the word erotic and he didn't really know what it meant, and I was really confused because we were talking about like business hierarchy and he just randomly started talking about like eroticism. So I was really confused and I was like, what do you mean? Like I don't think this is like appropriate, blah blah blah. And then he just kind of like, I just kind of shut it down. Then the next class I had with him, he started to say like how he believes that all women are gold diggers and all women want is money, and that he thinks I'm like that and stuff like that, which is quite an assumption because we've never had any like personal talk up until that point, and he just seemed really, really bitter, and it seemed like he'd been spending all his money at like hostess clubs, and I guess these women have been taking his money, even though like that, you know, you go to a hostess club to spend money. So yeah, that's the kind of guy that Mr. Sweat was. And I remember before the company kind of shut down, I went into his class and it was winter, and I walked in and I was wearing a new coat, and he said, "Oh, that's a nice coat. Did a man buy that for you?" Which I thought was kind of jarring. And the man didn't buy it from me. I bought it for myself. I think actually back then my mom sent me a little bit of money to get a winter coat. That was like a tradition every year. She would send me like, I don't know, like gosennen to get a winter coat. So I just had a new coat, and he assumed that a man bought it for me, which is really, really weird. So yeah, that was Mr. Sweat. And after the company broke down, I'm sorry, my cats are going crazy right now, right? Like that's the thing that bugs me, is that I like, you're at my work, you can fully see me working, like, you know, I have a salary, and it wasn't that bad. Like I had enough for rent, and like I have quite a luxurious lifestyle. Like I could just buy myself a coat. Yeah, exactly. That was, it really rubbed me the wrong way. But of course I had to put my best customer service smile on. I was like, oh, you know, like my mom bought it for me, not a man. And oh my god, yeah, I don't know, this time every day my cats just go absolutely wild. So yeah, that was the last time I saw him at the office, but then the company shut down and I decided to take him on as a private student because he found me and he asked me if I would teach him privately. And like in retrospect, what a stupid idea it was for me to agree to teach this guy privately. But I mean, the money was good because like teaching in eikaiwa take a cut. So if you teach someone privately, you can just take the money that the eikaiwa would get. So I think I was earning like 4,000 yen per hour, which was pretty good. So I just meet him in Starbucks for 1 hour for 4,000 yen, and I used to just teach him a bunch of business stuff. And we did that for like 4 or 5 times. But the more I met him, the more bitter he got, and the whole time he used to just complain about Eastern European women and how women are all gold digging whores. And the funniest thing was, is that he used to talk about gold diggers so much, but I remember he used to ask me to meet him in Starbucks, and the teaching etiquette usually is that they buy you a drink. And I met him and he said, oh, do you want me to get you a drink? And I was like, okay, yeah, that's nice, thank you. Like, I didn't mind buying my own drink, but it was nice of him to offer. And I went and sat down on the table, and I looked over and I saw him order a venti like triple chocolate frappe for himself, and then I saw him pouring me the free water that you get at Starbucks in the little cup. So he come over, gave me a free water, had his giant frappuccino, and then sat there and just complained about women for an hour and about how they're gold diggers. And I was like, how, like, he didn't have any money. Like, what gold are you worried these women are digging from you? Because there's none. Like, I'm really confused, because he admitted he was just like a low-level salary man. So I'm like, where is this, you know, like, what are they digging? Because they're not digging gold, that's for sure. And another thing is like another thing is it was just weird that he kept complaining to me about it, and complaining that women were taking his money when he was going to hostess bars, and the whole point of going there is to give women your money. It was just absurd. So the Mr. Sweat saga ended finally when he told me that he was moving to Russia, which was kind of a shock because it was really sudden. He just said that like Japan wasn't, like, the economy in Japan hasn't been good for like quite a while, so he thought that he could have better business prospects in Russia. But he was moving somewhere really, like, I'd never heard before. Like, it wasn't like a major city. It was like on the coast, I guess closer to Japan. And then he said, I would ask you to move there with me, but I know you wouldn't. I was like, what? Like, did this man ask me to move to Russia with him? No, for real though. Like, this is the kind of guy that goes to Soapland, pays for a woman to like touch him for 30 minutes, and then gets really mad that she won't marry him. He's the kind of man that goes to strip clubs and tells the women, why are you working here? Like, you don't need to be doing this, you're so beautiful. Like, he's that kind of guy, like, for absolute sure. Right? Like, I don't understand why he would think, like, someone who moved from England to Japan that would just move to Russia. Like, I don't speak Russian. I don't know anything about Russia. How did he get a visa? Like, I don't even get how the visa system works in Russia. Do you need a visa to move to Russia? Like, would I need a visa? Would we be getting married? Like, this is such a weird scenario that he just dropped on me. No, for real though, he was such a nice guy without being nice at all. And yeah, so he said that he was moving in a couple of weeks. I'm like, did you expect me to leave my life and move to Russia on the coast with a random student? Like, it's just so bizarre. Yeah, and like, I'm not sure if he's still there, but I had him online, and he mailed me a little while afterwards, and he was still in Russia for some reason. And it seemed like he was doing all right, but he said it didn't end up being as good as he thought it was, and like he wasn't making as much money. And I'm like, I'm 100% sure this man does not speak Russian. Why did he move to Russia? What kind of business was he doing? Like, I'm so confused. But yeah, like, that's how that ended. All in all, it wasn't like such a bad story. He wasn't like a stalker or anything. He was just weird and sad, and I think he was a great like that's what, like, he's like the blueprint for the kind of student that you will get. Oh, the other thing he said is, we met my friend, because my friend was also an English teacher, and she used to come into the eikaiwa a lot. And he asked her what her job was, and she said that she works with really small children. And he said, I'm so jealous because they get to be next to your breasts. It was just so bizarre and gross and like weird. I don't know, but yeah, he used to say stuff like that a lot. But again, like, you might think, oh, that's crazy, like, why would you put up with people like that? But that's the bread and butter of eikaiwa students, like, right? Like, I think he moved to Russia a few years ago. It's got to be like 5 years ago. So I doubt, like, and he's on the coast, so I think that, like, maybe he's unaffected, but definitely the economy is affected. So if he's still there now, he's having a bad time, because I remember him saying it wasn't as lucrative as he thought it would be in the first place. And, like, let's be real, he moved to Russia because he has this image of Eastern European women being easy, being cheap, and wanting to marry Western, or I guess Japanese men. And, like, that's probably why he moved to Russia. Which I thought was weird he'd ask me to move with him, because it's like, obvious you're moving to Russia to fuck Russian women. Like, why do you want me there? Like, what am I gonna do? So yeah. So that was Mr. Sweat. Okay, that was the first student. And that was around the time I started teaching private students. So that's when I really started to learn the red flags. It was good in a way, because I learned many red flags just from this guy. He had so many red flags. It was like a good, it was almost like training for me. Yeah, like, it's interesting that his mentality was kind of very similar to a lot of Western guys that come here. It seems like this is a common mentality all over, right? And yeah, it kind of sucks. But anyway, so that's Mr. Sweat. That's done. Okay, if you have any questions about Mr. Sweat, please ask. His name is literally Mr. Sweat in Japanese too, which is really unfortunate. No, I don't do English camps anymore. I'm gonna make a separate video about that, because I really do enjoy doing English camps, but I did one a few years ago and it was really bad. I had a really bad experience, and I did mail them and said I don't want to do this anymore. English camps are a good way of earning money for an English teacher, because you get paid like 60,000 yen for 3 days, but you've got to give up 3 days of your life completely, and you've got to work from like early morning to night, and it's really dependent on the people you're teaching with, the students, and where you are. Because I've been to some amazing camps where we just got to go use onsen all the time, and I've been to ones where it was awful and we had to like just work from morning to night in a classroom. That was awful. But yes, okay, my second student was also from the eikaiwa. I also stole her from my ex-company, and this is a middle-aged woman, and I'm gonna call her, what should I call her? I'll call her Miss Hashimoto. Okay, that's nothing like her actual name. And she's like a 45-year-old Japanese woman who was born into such incredible wealth, completely unattainable wealth. Like, she is the richest person I have ever met. She was so rich, it made me physically sick. She was incredibly rich. So she was born into wealth, and then she married the CEO of one of the top companies in Japan. I can't say which company it is, but basically I would say it's in like top 20 companies in Japan. So this woman had a lot of money. She ended up divorcing that guy. So she was 45, single and ready to mingle, and she had a whole bunch of kids. She had like 5 kids. No, for real though, like, I realized from her how much I just hate rich people. She was just the worst kind of rich person. Like, she had kind of like good intentions, but So yeah, she was pretty cute. I guess she had some surgery done. She had like 5 or 6 kids, and she originally come to this eikaiwa because her kids, 2 of them, she sent them to a school in Hawaii, and they were studying there, and they would get the report cards back in English, and her English wasn't bad, but she wanted me to translate them. Right? No, she had a lot of lovers though, is the thing. She had a lot of lovers. But so I would translate these report cards, and the thing is that they were all so bad. Basically, her kids would do nothing but stay up and play video games all night. They wouldn't study. They were bullies. They were mean to other kids. And I had to like say this to her, like translate it in a nice way to her and explain that basically her kids were doing really, really badly. And she had 2 young kids. I think she had a kid that was 6 and a kid that was 9. And I taught these 2 kids as well. And these are by far the worst kids I've ever taught in my entire life. Like, rich kids are like on a whole nother level. Like, these kids have never been told no in their entire lives. And at first I started teaching them at this school, and then I ended up going to their house. No, for real though, like they lived in like such a bubble. It was insane. So when we taught at the school, we had like a little classroom, and these 2 kids came in and they would get like the markers, the whiteboard markers, and they drew all over the windows, all over the walls, all over the floor, all over like the CD player. They drew over everything, and I just couldn't stop them, because you can't really like grab a child, and they would not be stopped. And I spoke to my boss, and he said, okay, Miss Hashimoto is really rich. She's our richest customer. You can't, just don't say no to them. Whatever they want, just give it to them. So basically our lessons with the kids were just whenever she wanted to drop off her kids. So like, it was more like babysitting. Yeah, it was in Roppongi. It was a really shady company, and it had like weird, like the clientele was all like weird celebrities and like really rich famous people. It was very strange, and she was no different. And so like her kids would just come and go buck wild, and we had a guy working there, just another guy teacher, and they would just beat him, and they would always like kick him in the balls, and then he was just getting obliterated by these 2 kids, and we couldn't really do anything. And our boss said, just let them do whatever. So they were really into like, this is when like TikTok was just starting to be a thing, so they just wanted to make TikTok dances. So that's what they used to do. They used to come over, I would help them with their homework for a bit, and then we used to just make TikTok dances for like 2 hours, and then their mom would come and pick them up. It was such a wild experience. These kids would not be told no, and right, yeah, it would just be like me trying to get them to not destroy stuff, and that is what happened at first. And then obviously the eikaiwa ended up shutting down. I made another video about this. I think it's like working in a black company in Japan. Long story short, they didn't end up paying me, and I emailed all the customers and told them that we weren't being paid. Okay, so yeah, okay, this is the thing. I don't know why she would drop them off. I guess it was easier for her. She just dropped them off, and like at home, I guess they would also break shit. So she was like, I'll just leave them here, and they can just break stuff here. And so after I started working for her, I just used to go to her house, and she gave me her address, and her house was like, oh my god, the cats are going wild. I'm so sorry. Like, they've got like this squeaky ball, and it's really annoying, and they keep squeaking it. I'm so sorry. So yeah, I started to work at this really, really, really rich woman's house, and she lived in a penthouse in Azabujuban, like maybe one of the most richest areas in Japan. And it's just like 1 floor, and it's like a panoramic window, and you can see Disneyland, you can see Skytree and Tokyo Tower, you can see everything. And at night you could see the fireworks. They had a grand piano. They had a maid that would come in and cook them dinner and clean, and she was there most times. Their apartment was beautiful, and it was just really nice. I was like, wow. It was like, I can't believe, imagine growing up like that. Each kid had like 2 iPads each. They had every games console. They had an incredibly nice house where they could watch the Disneyland fireworks every day. Like, they were bored of it. It was just so weird, like, compared to how I grew up. And the thing was is that they were so unhappy. Like, these kids were depressed. They were fighting all the time. They wanted attention from their mom, but they weren't really getting it. Their dad, obviously, after the divorce, he got with someone much younger than their mom, and he had his own kids with them, and I feel like they felt neglected, so they were acting out. It was just such an awful situation. And right, and the crazy thing was, one of them, we'll call him Yuta, the older kid. Yuta wasn't as bad as the younger kid. Yuta said, oh, sensei, do you want to see my sports car? And I thought he meant like a toy. I was like, oh, okay, go get it. He's like, I can't, it's in the garage. I'm like, garage? Like a real car? He's like, yeah, mommy bought me a sports car. I'm like, but you can't drive it. He's like, yeah, it's fine. She just lets me sit in the driver's seat in the garage, and like, I pretend to drive it. I'm like, your mom bought you a car. You're 8 years old, and he had like a proper little sports car downstairs in the garage, and I went and had a look at it, and it was just like a little car, and he used to just sit in it and like play in the sports car. It was just so bizarre. And but yeah, they were always bored. They didn't want to obviously study English. They went to an international school, so kind of their native language was already English. I wasn't really teaching them. I was just more like hanging around with them in English. I was more like a babysitter. Oh, he's gonna total that immediately. And by the time, what, he's gonna be, he was like 8 then, so he's gonna be like, what, 10 years before he gets a new car, and he's gonna get like a Tesla, so he's not gonna want that one anymore. So yeah, I would teach these kids, and basically it was just me trying to get them to not kill each other or themselves. And they used to say like really worrying stuff. Like the young kids, we'll call him Yuya. Yuya was definitely like a psychopath. Like, he didn't have any empathy. He could not be stopped. You couldn't tell him no. The older kid, Yuta, was a bit softer, and if you told him enough times, he would stop. And the older kid, he said to me one day that like the younger kid would sneak in his room at night and tell him he was going to kill him, and that whenever he took a shower, his little brother used to come and like watch him shower. It was really, really weird. I was like, little man, I'm not the person you need to be speaking to. You need to tell your mom. And he was like, I keep telling my mom, but she never listens to me. I'm like, this family, man. So yeah, it was just a wild ride. And the whole point of this story is that this woman was so rich. Like, you cannot imagine how rich she was. And she refused to pay me the fee that she paid the eikaiwa. She only paid the fee that I was getting before. So I think I was only earning like 3,000 yen to go all the way to her house and play with her kids. Right? And it took me ages from my house to get to her station, because this is like Azabujiman. I think she lived in this big skyscraper. She only drove with a sports car, so she didn't realize that like peasants like me have to take the train. It was like a 15-minute walk, and once you got to her skyscraper, there was like, the elevator itself took like 5 minutes, and there was like 2 different elevators. There was a normal elevator that went only a certain way, and there was like an executive one that I needed to call her and get me a pass so I could go up. So this whole situation to get to her house took like an hour. It was awful. And then I asked her if she could maybe pay for my taxi fare, and she said she wouldn't. And it was just like, she was so stingy. Even though I was pretty much taking care of her kids for her for a while, she just didn't really want to pay me more than 3,000 yen. And like 3,000 yen is nothing. Like, I was severely underpaid, but I thought it might be like potential to lead to something else, so I stayed in that situation a little bit longer. Like, Izabujiman's nice. It's like yeah, it's like Sailor Moon. Like, I just think of Sailor Moon. It's like really tall skyscrapers, like the rich people. No, for real though, like it just sucked. Like the thing that sucks about being a teacher and particularly teaching rich people is like you have to listen to them talk about their rich lives and playing golf and all this stuff, but they don't like, obviously in Japan there's no like tipping culture, but you think that she could have paid me a little bit more than 3,000 yen. And I kept trying to broach the subject to her that her kids were a little bit depressed and they're fighting and like they're not doing well at school, and she just didn't really seem to care, which was the thing. And the kids so badly wanted her attention. And one night I stayed extra late because they had extra homework, and it got to the point where they needed to take a shower, and she was like, come on, like let's go in the shower now, Yuya, come on, let's go in the shower. And they were like, no, absolutely not, I'm not going in the shower, I hate you. And then she's like, oh, if you go in the shower, I'll buy you this, or I'll take you there, or if you go in the shower, then your teacher will take you to Disneyland. I'm like, absolutely not, I'm not going to do Disneyland with these kids. But she would have to bribe them with money. Like, a Disneyland ticket's like, what, 8,000 yen? You're gonna pay a kid 8,000 yen to take a shower? Is that what you do every day? Like, exhausting. So that was the kids. But I also taught her, because she was like a 45-year-old divorcee, and she had a boyfriend, an Italian boyfriend, and he was like 25. And the whole time I taught her, he would call her constantly, and she'd pick up and he'd be like, oh, where are you? I love you, I love you. And like, right? Her English wasn't that good, and his English wasn't that good because he's Italian. And they were just like, he would just call her and tell her that he loved her all the time. And I guess she would meet him and buy him stuff. I'm like, you buy this guy stuff, buy me stuff. And then finally, my time had come. She knew I was into like Harajuku fashion and stuff like that, and she started to have like an interest in that. And she was like, oh, let's go shopping in Harajuku. And I was like, damn, all my work's paid off. Like, she might take me shopping. Like, she might take me to La Ferrari and buy me like a dress or buy me something. I would have been okay with that. Like, I'm not okay with like expensive gifts, but I put a lot of work in teaching this woman's kids. So I agreed to, I went all the way, even though Harajuku was closer to me, she wanted me to meet her at her house. So I went all the way to her house, and I had to sit there and watch her get ready with all her like Gucci and Chanel. And then she didn't pay me for this either. This is just like us hanging out, I guess. Like, I don't know why she didn't pay me my 3,000 yen for this. But we met up, and I was like, how are we gonna get there? And she's like, oh, we'll go in the car. And she had like, I think it was like a Ferrari. Oh yeah, this my house is just rented. But yeah, so she had like, I think it was a Ferrari. So we got in her car, and we got in her car, and then we were driving, and she went at like, this car goes from like 1 to 120 miles per hour in like the space of a second. She like was going so fast, so much that I was thrown backwards, and she was like completely speeding, because Azerbaijan is just rich people in cars, so we were like Tokyo drifting around, and it was like obviously her showing off that she had such a nice sports car. And I'm like, why are you trying to show off to me? Like, I don't care, like I'm just at work, like I just want to get paid. So I had to like be like, oh, this car is really nice, and like that, and kind of like placate her. Then we got to Harajuku, and she wanted me to show her all my favorite shops, and we went around, and she bought so much stuff for herself. I think she spent like, well, not that much, I guess. She spent about 50,000 yen. Seriously though, like, I mean, I put a lot of effort into this. I thought that maybe she would have bought me something. So like, we went around, she bought herself so much stuff, and I was like, oh, this is nice, but she didn't buy me anything. And then afterwards, she wanted to have tapioca, so we got tapioca, and she bought me one tapioca, And she did not shut up about it the whole time. She was like, oh, I'm gonna treat you. I'll buy you tapioca. Do you like it? Is it nice? Yeah. And she was really talking up this one tapioca for like 500 yen that she bought me. And I'm like, are you not one of the richest women in Japan? Like, she worked for like the Olympic committee. She knew everyone in Japan. She was so rich. And she was talking up this tapioca that she bought for me. It was just such a bizarre situation. And then I hung out with her for like 3 or 4 hours. So I was exhausted. She took a bunch of pictures with me so she could upload them onto her SNS. Like, that was another thing. She just, like, I was just like something shiny for her. Right? And then, yeah, so she left and I spent, God, like 6 hours with this woman. I didn't get anything, or it was a tapioca. So it wasn't even, I didn't even get paid for being at work. It was honestly awful. And I realized then that just like, rich people aren't good in general. The reason they're rich is because they hoard their wealth. And I guess that's what she was doing. So yeah, that was my experience with her. I did a couple more favors for her after that. I modeled kimono for her friend's company. I did a little bit more modeling for her. And then I guess once the shininess of me wore off, she got bored and she just kind of like ghosted me, which was also weird. Like, they took a trip to Los Angeles and I didn't see them for a while after that. And that was it. And I realized then I don't really want to teach rich people anymore, because this is a thing I noticed when I was dating, is that I would go on dates with people who were quite rich and they just spend the whole time talking about like golfing and like champagne and like their wealth. And it's like, I don't like people bragging about how much they have. No, for real, that was me. I was just like a toy that she played with and immediately got bored with. And I put so much effort into building a rapport with her kids. The funny, yeah, my son was jumping up into his window seat. Thank you, thank you. Like, yeah, it was just a wild experience from start to finish. And I always thought if I was to get really, really rich, I would like to, you know, like I would buy things for people. I would spend money on my friends. I wouldn't like, I don't know why they're so keen on showing off their wealth, because it's like, it's not impressive. It's just like a little bit sad, because I could tell that she was like lonely. Like, she had this 25-year-old Italian boyfriend and he's clearly like not really into her. He only wants her money. So I think the whole situation was just kind of sad. Her kids were unhappy, and that was like a really good learning experience for me, because when I first moved into Japan, I was working so much and I wanted to make a lot of money. I was working like, I was at my office like 12 hours a day sometimes. I slept over at my office one time and I worked the next day. Like, I was grinding so hard. And I realized after meeting her that honestly, money ain't shit, to be honest. And it didn't help her. She was miserable. Her kids were miserable. And I would rather just like live comfortably. Oh, I have a lot of Italian friends. It's hard because it's hard for them to work as English teachers, even if they speak English very, very well, because they tend to only hire native English speakers. But my friends have got jobs in like other areas like fashion. Normally they come here as students. Thank you. I like having short hair. But yeah, so that's on that. That was the second one. That's I have a lot more stories, but I'm kind of tired now. So that's my two stories. Let me know what you think. The first one, Mr. Sweat, is about an awful misogynistic man, and the second one is just a really, really rich middle-aged woman. Honestly, she wasn't bad. Here's the thing about Miss Hashimoto is that I feel like she didn't have bad intentions at all. Like, she was a nice person. Like, I felt like there were no bad vibes from her. She was just so oblivious to how the world works. And like, I think she just forgot that I was there for money and it was my job. And like, she's so used to people doing everything on her every whim, and I think she just forgot that like people have their own lives. Like, if you really want to move to Japan. Oh, okay, Ms. Hashimoto is from Old Money, who married another rich man. She married, she was from a really rich family. I think it was like a kind of like an arranged marriage of convenience. So she's just went from being rich to being really rich. And that's another thing, because like rich people tend to stay in the same circles, and the money just moves around, and that's another thing that sucks. So yeah. Yeah, if you're thinking about moving to Japan but you're not a native English speaker, my personal recommendation is to go to a language school, because then you can spend that time, you get like a 2-year visa, you can learn Japanese, and then you can work on that time to look at the job market. Right, for real though, like I'm gonna get cancelled for this, but I just hate rich people. Like, I have met so many rich people in my life and they've all been awful. And it's not like, they're not necessarily bad, like they're not don't have bad intentions, but they're just so oblivious. They don't know how the world works, and they say that like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, even though their intentions are possibly good. Through their own ignorance, they just make everything worse. Because honestly, my worst experience is with dating have all been with rich guys, and me having to sit there and listen to them talk about their wealth is just honestly annoying, disgusting. And those are the guys who the first guys that will ask you to split the bill, and then the first guys that will complain about like gold diggers and stuff like that. It's just like not great. Oh, I'll talk about this separately, but I do have another student who I actually still teach until this day. It's my only student that I still teach, and that guy is also incredibly rich, like unbelievably rich. And he's also incredibly stingy. And I sometimes work for his company. I do like PR consultancy, and it's the only reason that I still contact with him. But every time I meet him, he just complains how he's sad and lonely because he has so much money that he doesn't know what to do with it. And I just think it's really vulgar to sit there and say that to an immigrant. Yeah, I'm not a Tesla fan. I don't want a car that's gonna like catch fire and then be on fire for like 24 hours. Also, just fuck Elon Musk. But yeah, having to sit there and listen to this guy talk about how rich he is and how he just like throws money at things. He invests in businesses just for fun, and he just throws away money. It's just something vulgar about that, when you purposely seek out an English teacher, like an immigrant that you know doesn't earn that much money, and you just tell them how much money you have, and then you pay them like their 3,000 yen fee, and then that's it. Like, it's just something about that just really rubs me the wrong way. Anyone who talks about golf, that's a red flag for me. If you start talking about golf, I already hate you. If you play golf, I hate you in general. Golf is not a sport. It's just rich people who are bored, who have nothing better to do, and it doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. You have to destroy so much land, it costs so much water for nothing. Japan already doesn't have a lot of land mass, and they're wasting that on like golf courses. I mean, you could have just like a nice park where everyone could enjoy, but they bulldoze everything and turn it into a golf course, and I hate that. So then any moment a guy says to me that he plays golf, I'm already like, okay, I'm never seeing this guy again. But yeah, that's just my personal preference. I don't know, I have like, No, for real though, it's always the same. And the guy, I still teach him now, and he's really like, he's a nice person, he's funny to talk to, right? Like, so one of the only reasons I still teach him is he's not bad, like he's a laugh. And at least when we go out, we go to like nice places, and he'll fit the bill, because it's kind of more like a business meeting, because we talk about like PR and consultancy. But even then, all he does is talk about how much money he has, and I don't know what to say to that when someone just brags about how much money they have. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, congratulations. Oh my god. Okay, this is the thing that really bugged me about this guy. We'll call this guy, let's give him a generic name. We'll also call him Utah, because I can't think of any other names. Okay, Utah said to me, wow, Sensei, you're so smart and you have so many talents. I can't believe that you're not rich. And I was like, okay, Utah, what is your job? And he said, oh, I'm an investment banker. I'm like, okay, where did you learn to do that? And he was like, oh, well, I learned this at KO University, like a really good university. I was like, okay, who paid for you? Who paid for your tuition? He's like, oh, well, of course my parents did. I was like, okay, where were you living when you studied? He's like, well, of course I was living with my parents. And it's like, okay, so this is what's wrong. These rich people live with their parents who fund their really expensive university degree to do investment banking, and of course they get rich because they basically teach you how to just make tons of money. They get rich and they're like, wow, I work so hard, why are you so poor? And it's like, okay, first of all, my parents did not pay for my tuition, and I'm an immigrant in a foreign country, so it's gonna be a lot harder for me personally to make that much money. And like, he just couldn't understand this concept, and he was like, why didn't your parents pay for your tuition? I'm like, my parents were poor, my guy. It was such a jarring experience. And it's funny because again, like, Yuta's not a bad guy, but he also like doesn't hang out with poor people much. So when we have lessons, it's just so funny. Like, he's just not used to like people not taking taxis everywhere, people just not flying places on whims. It's very jarring, and honestly it's weird. Like, I don't like speaking to people like that. It's just, I don't know, I just don't get anything from it. But I do, he works with a lot of companies, and I do a lot of PR consultancy from them, because often they'll need foreign influencers, and they'll ask me, and I'll like ask my friends, and it's kind of like a business thing. So yeah. And oh yeah, the last, he's really nice though, because like for my birthday, after my birthday, it was like shortly after I broke up with my boyfriend. So he knew I was really, really sad. And the good thing about this guy, unlike Mr. Sweat, the good thing about this guy is that he's not like creepy, and he's never made a move on me, or he's never said anything weird. Like, he genuinely just likes English conversation, and he needs me for his business, so he's not going to do anything creepy. So he took me to this place called Gonpachi that I really wanted to go, and it's a restaurant that if you've seen Kill Bill, I think some of Kill Bill was filmed there. The scene with the crazy 88s where they're fighting each other, basically it was filmed there. So he took me there, and he bought me a whole bunch of food and a big cake, and he bought me like a present. It was really, really nice. It wasn't creepy at all. He's just a generally nice guy. But we were talking about business, and after we got like the initial part of the consultancy and our job out of the way, he was telling me about his other businesses, and he said he was bored. And because this is right before things really heated up between Russia and Ukraine, he was like, oh, it seems like something's happening. So I decided to invest in the weapons industry. And I had to give him like a long lecture about why that's an awful thing to do. Oh yeah, he's also, yeah, of course, like all these, I feel like most rich people that I've met they were born rich. Maybe if I met I don't think I've met anyone that was self-made rich. Maybe I want to meet someone that's like self-made rich. But yeah, So he was talking about how he's been investing money in the weapons industry, which was, I mean, kind of a smart idea, because after that, things with Russia and Ukraine and the way it really took off. So I'm assuming he made quite a lot of money from that. But I was just like, as a Japanese person, because like Japanese people are at heart quite pacifist. They're like, you know, like war here is considered really, really bad. Like, how can you invest money in that? And he admitted to me he felt bad about it, and it was like weighing on his conscience. And I just said, like, you have enough money, maybe you just should not do that. No, for real though. And like, these are the kind of people that are investing in the fucking weapons industry. Yeah, like, again, like, the three people I mentioned, Mr. Sweat wasn't that rich, but I mean, he had money. The really rich woman and this guy who's incredibly rich, none of these people are happy. And I think, like, if they were, they probably wouldn't be paying me money to hang out with them. That's like kind of a red flag. But money really didn't make them happy. And I've never been like money motivated. Growing up, my family was quite poor, but my aunt was super rich, and I used to live with her for a bit, and she had like a bunch of houses all over the world. We used to stay in Paris, in Brittany, in Sardinia, and I used to travel all over and eat at like really expensive restaurants, and she used to buy me like fur coats and stuff. And then I would go back to my poor family in North London. It was so jarring. So I've seen like both sides of the spectrum. Yeah, so like, I guess growing up, I just made me not really like too focused on money, because I've seen that money, like, I think if you have enough to be comfortable. Oh, bye, thank you for joining. I'm surprised so many people joined. I thought I was just gonna be talking by myself. I'm really happy. Thank you for coming. But yeah, like, growing up and seeing both sides of the spectrum, I just never was money motivated. Like, I've been working since I was 15, actually. I worked throughout the end of high school, college, university. I've worked since I've been in Japan. So like, I have a strong work ethic. I just want enough money to be comfortable. And yeah, I'm really happy with how much I'm earning now. I could always use a little bit more, but meeting all these rich people and seeing how depressed they were made me realize just how money doesn't really make you happy. And like, I thought about that when I started dating again. Like, I went on a few dates with like really rich men, and it just didn't, like, we just can't see eye to eye, and I don't think I would want to be in a relationship with someone like that. So now I exclusively date poor people. Yeah, so that was my story. 3 stories actually. You got a bonus one, because I wasn't actually going to talk about the guy that I teach at the moment. I hope he doesn't see this. I think he doesn't see my YouTube, but I have no idea. He might. So yeah, I'll stay here for like another 5 minutes. So let me know if you have any questions or anything. And thank you for coming. Honestly, this was really, really fun. It was my first live stream in like a really long time. Yeah, I think you make a really good point. Like, I make enough money to live comfortably, but I would like to travel. Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point. It's like, if you're a little bit poor, when you have money, you really appreciate it so much more. Yeah, like for me, I live comfortably, but in Japan, like, I don't buy grapes. So like, that gives you an idea of how much money I earn. Like, I'm like, oh, like, I can live comfortably, but I don't buy grapes. I think in Japan, grapes are like 1,000 yen for just some grapes. Like, I cannot believe it. Also, my cat's eye medicine is really expensive. It's like $300 per month. My classes are really expensive. I have a lot of money adding up. Like, obviously I broke my camera, which is why I'm using my iPhone, and I haven't been able to replace it yet. Just stuff like that. Oh my god, fruit is so expensive. I cannot believe it. I eat mostly apples and grapefruits because they're I'm never gonna give context for my pin picture on Twitter. No, it was okay. My picture on Twitter, my pin picture is me getting arrested by the British police. As much as I want to leave that contextless, it was actually for a TV show I did in London. It was called, I can't believe I agreed to do this. It was called Fashion Police, and they find people who dress really weird like me, and they pretend to arrest you, and they literally arrest you and put you in jail. You joined a little bit late. Yeah, I'm just chatting shit now. So yeah, I was on a TV show where they arrested me and they put me in jail, and then I had to do a court case and explain why I am allowed to dress the way I do. And if you lose the court case, they give you a makeover, but I actually won, so I didn't get a makeover, and then they never aired the TV show anyway, so like it was just a waste of time. But yeah, and Ozzy Osan, I will do a cute game stream soon. This live stream is just me testing the waters because I have a lot of like cute indie games I want to play, and I want to start doing more. I want to try to do a game stream. It's just like the software is really overwhelming for me, and I had a really bad experience live streaming in Japan before. That's another thing I want to make a video about. I had a live stream job for like a month where I had to live stream every single day, and the company was also not good and they didn't pay me, and it ended up being a really bad experience, and that made me not want to live stream. Oh my god, okay, the TV show I was on was just like Snog, Marry, Avoid. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but that was the concept. Oh yeah, okay, I want to make, maybe that's the next video I'll make about why I don't live stream anymore, because I also had to recruit people. It was like, I forgot the name. Oh, Showroom, that was it. I probably shouldn't be saying the name of the company, but the big streaming app in Japan is called Showroom, and they hired me from an agency, and then they got me to recruit like 5 or 6 other foreign girls, and they asked us to stream. And I streamed, we had to stream every single day for like 2 hours, which was a lot because we're all working. And we had several meetings, and they told me how much they were going to pay us. And the thing is that I didn't sign a contract, because with this kind of agency model work, you don't normally sign a contract, you just go and do the job, which is my fault. Like, I should have forced them to make a contract, because the money I was getting was a lot. Like, I was like, are you sure you want to give me this much money? Like, this is a lot of money. But they assured me, because it's like a whole month of streaming, that I would get that much money, and then the people I recruited would get, you know, like some money. But then after the first month, we finished live streaming, and then they said, oh, because you're just beginners, actually, we're thinking that we'll pay you from the next month. And yeah, so they tried to not pay us at all. I had to get a lawyer involved. Not just for me, like, I don't mind if I didn't get the money, but the fact that I personally recruited these people, and I said that they were gonna get paid, and if the company didn't pay them, I was gonna pay them even though I had no money. So I got a lawyer involved, and eventually the company ended up paying the girls that I recruited, and they ended up giving me like 30% of what they offered me. And this whole situation took like 2 months. It just had such a mental, like, it was a really, really bad time for me. I had to keep calling lawyers and sending emails and threatening people in English and Japanese. Yeah, like, I really did learn my lesson, and it's a shame because I really like live streaming, and I think I would have done it earlier. Like, I've always wanted to stream games, because obviously, like, that's what I'm really into. I didn't, because of this horrible experience, and I don't want it to stop me from doing like what I want to do. But yeah, I still, like, before I did today's live stream, I just had like some kind of anxiety still from that experience, even though it's not like directly connected to live streaming. Yeah. I bet he takes a ring to hostess bars. Oh my god, I'm telling you, these are the kind of guys. These are the kind of guys that get mad at hostesses because my friend was a hostess, and when I went to see her, a man was there, and the whole time he was saying to her, "You don't need to do this. You're better than this." And she definitely was. She wasn't better than that. And he was like, "You don't need to do this. Like, I would take care of you." And she was really nice, like doing the customer service thing. And she tried to get him to leave. And then as I was leaving, because I only popped in the hostess bar to drop off something for her. It was my first time. I've only been to a hostess bar one time, and it was to drop off something, and it was just such a wild experience. And as I was leaving, he was outside shouting, trying to fight the bouncers, saying like, "I spent so much money, like I thought she was gonna have sex with me." It was just so wild, like an absolute wild experience. And that made me realize I would never ever work in a hostess bar or anything like that, because I could not deal with that. Like, after everything I've been through with like teaching students, can you imagine working in a hostess bar? Right? Yeah. This guy, the interesting thing is that this guy was foreign, and they said it happens quite a lot. Like, foreign men, like Japanese men, kind of more understand the concept that like hostess bars are just for entertainment, but like a lot of foreign men who come to Japan, a lot of them come like just doing a like an Asia trip, and they'll go to like Thailand or like the Philippines, and then they'll come here, and they'll assume that they can just buy sex at hostess bars, and obviously you can't do that. And when they realize that they've spent like $10,000 and they're not even gonna get a kiss, they get really, really angry. And this is something that happens a lot, and it's a reason why hostess bars are a little bit reluctant to take foreign customers. Yeah, and that's a really big problem that hostesses have. My friends aren't hostesses anymore, but I had friends that were hostesses, and honestly, the whole job is just telling men, "I'm really sorry, it's not my job. I can't touch your penis under the table. I'm sorry," and then having to deal with that. And I am so in awe of these women, that they're so strong that they could do this day in and day out. Honestly, I don't think I could do it. And particularly now that I'm at my big age, I don't think I could keep up with the drinking, because you have to drink a lot too. But yeah. Yeah, so my take from today's live stream is, you don't need money to be happy. As long as you have enough money to be comfortable, don't make money your entire life or personality, because it will turn you into a bore. Don't go and harass women in hostess bars, and don't ask your English teacher to move to Russia with you. That's weird. Why would you do that? So yeah, I think that concludes today's live stream. Thank you everyone for coming. I want to do some more live streams. Let me know if there's anything particular you want me to talk about. Sorry, this was kind of rambly. It's actually my first live stream. But I think, oh, thank you. I think it went pretty well, yeah. I'm honestly like, yay. Right, oh my god. I could just chat shit about my students all day, which is not very good of me, but it is quite healing, yeah. I look so sleepy because I did stay up until 3 or 4 a.m. playing this business managing simulation game in Yakuza, and I'm honestly so tired. Don't support the arms industry. That's the take that you need to take from this. Don't support the arms industry. But yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Honestly, I love you guys, and I was so excited to speak with you. And yeah, I'm rank 1 on my mini game in Yakuza. It took me like honestly, I lost control of my life a little bit for a while. Oh yeah, my sons are. Oh wait. Maybe you can see him. He's right there. He's sleeping. Bye guys, love you.